What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Be Sacred Space, your place for endless growth and possibility. I am the beautiful and amazing creator of this awesome and everly growing space. My name is Bianca, but you can call me B, and I'm here to help you master yourself and your experience. So, if that is your vibe, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It would greatly help this channel out and get all of this information to the right people. And I would seriously greatly appreciate all of your help and support. Now, before we go into this video today, I would like to just make an announcement. I have an Empower Your Wellbeing Self-Care series going on right now. Please check that out. I released the Nurture Your Mental Self, which is probably the best video I have made up to date. It is jam-packed with so much information to truly transform your life. I'm also currently working on the Nurture Your Emotional Self, and I'm hoping to drop that out later next week or the beginning of the following week. So again, make sure you subscribe and follow so you don't miss out on these amazing videos. Now, without further ado, let's get to this video. So today, we have a special guest who is a force to be reckoned with in the world of hip-hop. Known for his unapologetic stance on freedom, empowerment, and societal change, his music serves as a catalyst for self-reflection and action, urging listeners to break free from limitations, embrace their true potential. A passionate advocate for individual rights, he fearlessly tackles topics like gun ownership, animal rights, and personal responsibility. Beyond his captivating beats and masterful rhyme, he's a thought leader who challenges the status quo, shedding lights on ways in which the music industry can both uplift and harm society. Joining us on this enlightening journey is none other than Disl Automatic, a visionary artist whose words resonate with truth, inspiration, and a call to action. Get ready for an engaging conversation with Disl Automatic on freedom, empowerment, and the transformative power of music. Welcome to Be Sacred Space, Disl. How are you doing today?
Wow. Yo, I'm doing great. And I'm elated. I'm ecstatic. I'm enthused. Wow. Like I was enamored by your introduction, your general introduction, so professional, so on point. But then that intro that you gave me, whoa, honestly, wow, I'm so honored. I think that's the best intro anyone's ever given to me. Like, I need that. I need a clip of that. I need, wow, wow. No, I'm not even like hyping it up for the show or anything. Like, that was incredible, Bianca B. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm honored. Wow, really, wow. You're super like I'm not. I don't want to put you on blast, but saying like you feel maybe you're not some kind of way about. No, you're made for this. You
Thank
are made for this. This is your calling. Wow, incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diesel. I really do
Yeah,
appreciate that. And I appreciate you being present here today. Thank you for working with me. Thank you for showing up. We got
yeah.
to, talk a little bit before going live. And you're a real cool dude. Like, I,
Thank
I
you.
respect you so much. And I told you, I've been a fan of yours for about 6 to 7 years. I met you
Yeah.
through a guy's podcast, Ivan from Phoenix. And I've been fucking with you since. I got some favorite tracks. One of my favorite tracks is I'm in this, the diss track. Uh
Okay.
Gary, I love Gary. That song gets me hyped. Show
Okay.
You the Way, Freedom Over
Oh.
Everything. I mean, to be honest, I fuck
Okay.
with every single track that you have dropped out. So thank you
Wow.
again. It is such a pleasure to have you. And it's crazy
Yeah.
because I always thought if I ever had a show, I would play your music as an intro, but never did I ever think I would have you as a guest. So thank you, Diesel, for
There
coming
you
on. I
go.
really
You
appreciate you.
manifested it. You made it happen. No doubt about it. And thank you
Oh,
so much. And I know you're a real fan because you mentioned some a lot of people the more I mean, I have a lot of hardcore fans and they maybe their favorite will still be the general favorites, like Illuminati, for example. That's like most people's number one. But like you threw out Show You the Way, like that's a kind of a obscure, I'd say, track of mine that not too many people would throw out there as one of their favorites. So that tells me that you really are deep into my catalog, and I appreciate that.
Oh no, man, like for real. Anybody that I probably met, I probably introduced them to two people, and that is Mark Passio and Diesel
Yeah.
Automatic. So
I'm super honored.
of course. So I like to start our chat by getting to know Diesel Automatic. So
Yeah.
how did you become the Diesel Automatic that's sitting right before me right now? And what was your journey like leading up to your awareness? And what was the moment or the event that woke you up to what was going on in the world?
All right. It's it's such a deep and extensive story, right? So I'm gonna really condense it and compact it all into short story. You know, I was born and raised in Chicago, immigrant parents, grew up in, you know, the hood, like not the worst neighborhood in the world, but the hood still, you know, anything you want to get involved with, it's there. And having immigrant parents, it was different. You know, anybody who has immigrant parents, growing up in those kind of environments, I just naturally kind of took to hip hop, of course, the streets. I just fit better with black people, Hispanic people, and that's kind of the path I took down. And you know, mainly with hip hop, and then later in life got into, as I got older, got more into the streets, into, you know, kind of the stereotypical what people think of, you know, selling drugs and thugging it or whatever a person wants to call it, right? And that led me down a really bad way, bad path that ultimately um had me really put in a, you know, in a tough spot, in a tough situation, life or death type of vibes. And without getting too much into detail, that's pretty much what shocked me out of my sleeping state. And initially it was like learning about, well, first it kind of came from learning about the nature of reality, more of like a metaphysical thing. Like The Secret was big way back in the days, and these kind of things. Learning about law of attraction, just mental spirit, and that's why, you know, my whole thing is get big on them, right? So it all kind of started with that, and it still is about that. That was always at the root of it. But simultaneously, while I was going down that rabbit hole, it naturally they kind of go hand in hand. Learning about reality in general on the deeper level beyond the 3D, but then also learning the reality of the 3D. And one of the first things that I learned about was the war on drugs. And that having hit so close to home for me and being such a stark, you know, harsh, dark reality of my life at the time, it really lit a fire within me to where I felt like, regardless of my circumstances and what kind of danger I might be putting myself in or what kind of risks I might have to take, that I couldn't just sit idle. And because I had been rapping my whole life, you know, I started rapping when I was 13 on the streets, battling and freestyling. At 17, cut my first professional EP, started in the underground doing shows, opened up for the Roots, Grammy Award winners back in 2000 at Northwestern University, and just went on to do all kinds of, was then got into the mainstream, was in the Source Unsigned Hype, top five unsigned MCs in America in 2002, had major record labels knocking at my door, was on the verge of signing a major record deal when shit hit the fan and my whole life was everything was ripped away from me and my whole life was flipped upside down. So after all of that happened, I stopped rapping. You know, I was just laying low and being low key about things, and I had no intention to actually rap again ever, really. You know, in my mind, I kind of felt like I couldn't. It wouldn't be a smart move for me to make. But once I had this awakening, and especially once I learned about the war on drugs, because then it was like I went from feeling all this shame and all this, you know, guilt and all these feelings about it to understanding that, wait, I was actually a victim in all these shenanigans that took place, right? So that's what really lit the fire. And I just made a decision where I couldn't sit back and just kind of tuck my tail and hide the rest of my life. So yeah, that was about 2010 and 2011. I first put out music as Disl Automatic on YouTube, and 2012 my first mixtape and my first music videos with Global Faction, and they went a few of them, Illuminati especially, went viral. And the rest is history. I mean, that was the beginning of it all, and yeah, here I am.
Which I do love your approach on like the war on drugs, and I really hope that like the projects, the ghettos, and the hood can really understand that what's being pushed in those demographics, I mean, all over the place, but especially in those areas, is the fact is it is a war on drugs. And this is stuff that has been pushed onto our culture and like normalized as like the thing to do when we're only like destroying each other because of this.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, it's a war on us, and it's such a even to this day, it's a focal point, and it's not really just because of it's not really what's going on. Oh, I'm sorry about that. It's not even because of my bias. It's not like I'm biased and I put even more of an emphasis because I try my best, and I think I do a good job of being unbiased and just viewing things objectively. But I've done so much research and analysis of the war on drugs, and when you factor really everything in, all the um all the harm, all the detriment, the death, the destruction, the decimation of communities, in particular urban, whatever you want to call it, Black communities, Hispanic, impoverished communities, whatever you want to call it. The all the men being taken away, put in prison, the children that are left without fathers to grow up without guidance, and ultimately left to repeat the same cycle. Then all the street crime and violence that it causes as a result of the illegal drug trade. When you factor all of these things in, the millions of people locked away in prison, the millions of lives lost, all the lives lost to drugs, not because when drugs are illegal, they're far more dangerous because people go to all types of extremes to conceal them, to hide them, so somebody might be overdosing and they won't even call the cops because they're afraid, so they'll die instead of actually getting the help they need, right? As if it
mhm.
as if it were legal. So when you factor in all of these things, the communities that have been destroyed, um, then of course there's the $1 trillion of taxpayers money. So even if people want to just be selfish about it, like look at all the money that's gone to it. So when we factor all of these things, really, and I urge anybody listening to don't take my word for it, I mean, do the research, look it up. It's um it's 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 far worse than what's happened with COVID. Far worse. It doesn't even,
Yeah.
it pales in comparison. When people, it was a pet peeve of mine, like, oh, this is the worst thing in modern COVID, right? No, it's not. Not even close. Not
No,
not
not
no, not
close.
even close. It pales in comparison to the destruction the war on drugs has caused to families, to communities, to people's lives. We're talking about millions and millions and millions of people that have been wrongfully, unjustly incarcerated, locked away in hell. That didn't happen for COVID. I don't care what people say. Sure, there were little incidents, maybe with people, getting locked up for whatever reasons, but few and far between. Yes, people lost their jobs and things, but it, nothing is even close to what has happened, because anyone who is locked away for any drug related, any non-violent crime, it's a terrible travesty, it's a tragedy, it's injustice. And the war on drugs, we're talking about millions, 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 and it's been going on for nearly 60 years. Everything that, just looking at it logically as a human being, just all we have to do is be logical and reasonable and rational. When the government says, hey, we have this program, we're going to have a war on drugs. First of all, you can't have a war on drugs. That's ridiculous. Like, what does that even mean? But in everything that it was supposed to do, intended to do, to basically, I mean, the goal was to eliminate drugs, right? Get them out of here. We're no more drugs, no drug dealers. It hasn't even reduced it. Everything has gone up. Everything that the war on drugs should have stopped, reduced, eliminated. It's only increased. More drugs, more people using, better quality of drugs, cheaper prices. I mean,
Yeah.
it's literally the biggest failure ever, and it's cost the taxpayers trillions of dollars, and it's cost millions and millions of lives. And this is also too when people who are talking about racism in America, systemic racism, and I don't want to hear it if you're not talking about the war on drugs. Honestly, I don't care. Don't
Mhm.
you're not you're missing the plot. That if you really want to focus on systemic racism and the damage that has been done to minority communities, you have to focus entirely on the war on drugs. That has been the
Yes, I
number
agree.
one thing. Any violence, anything that you could point to, children growing up without fathers in the hood, all of this, it's all a result of the war on drugs, right? So it's it is in modern times, maybe ever in America for American people, aside from, of course, the original, transatlantic slave trade, what they've done to the indigenous people, those things we know. But as in terms of something that has actually been done to what we consider American citizens, nothing is worse than the war on drugs, ever, ever.
I agree. And I think that people don't even understand to the extent what the war on drugs, like for me the war on drugs is more than just like what's being pushed on the streets. I personally think the war on drugs also includes what's being pushed in the medical systems. Like
For
some of
sure.
the some of the drugs that they're prescribing to people who are addicted to drugs like fentanyl is worse than the actual drugs that you can find on the street. And I think that really
Absolutely.
needs people really need to look into that. And I always urge like my listeners, like don't ever take my word or anybody's
Wow.
words. Always do your own research. That's the only way you can come to understanding what's going on in the world. If you do your own research, and you have to do a well-rounded research. You can't just do all your research
Yeah,
on Google and from one or two sites that you trust. You have to do a well-rounded research. You have to allow yourself to be uncomfortable as you research different topics. That's the only way you're going to have a clear understanding of what's going on in the world.
for sure. And I'll say, like, hey, I mean, I know people are very skeptical. So that's why I say don't take my word for it, research it. But when it comes to the war on drugs, you could take my word for it. I'm an expert on the issue. You could take my word for it. Like, go look it up back to back, but trust me, this is all facts. I couldn't make this stuff up, right? So even what you say about the pharmaceutical industry, and that goes hand in hand because they lobby for the war on drugs, huge lobbyists. People don't even know. It's wild that you got companies like AT&T who lobby for stricter drug laws, who lobby for war on drugs. And somebody would say, AT&T, why? Collect calls from prison.
Oh yeah.
This is insanity. This is insanity, right? You have lumber companies, steel, who are building the prisons that lobby the government for stricter drug laws because they know this is the catch about the war on drugs. Why it feels you have private prisons that in America have been built in certain counties, cities, whatever, in America, in certain states, where they have contracts with the city, with the county, whatever it may be, that, okay, we're going to come build this private prison. It's going to provide a bunch of jobs it's going to help your economy. But we have to, because we trade our stock shares on Wall Street. This is facts. You could take my word for it because it's facts, but you look it up because I know people don't believe it. Go for it, right? So they publicly trade shares of these private prisons, and their value is entirely based on keeping the prisons full. So they make
Mhm.
agreements with states, with cities, with localities, municipalities, that we are going to build this private prison, give you jobs, help the economy, but under one condition. You have to meet a quota of inmates coming into this private prison. Otherwise, you owe us this amount of money. And how on earth can a city, a county, a municipality, how can they assure that there will be prisoners? How? The only
Mhm.
way possible is through drugs. because they know that everybody is using them regardless of drug laws. They know it's very easy to stop people for no reason, pat them down, find something, or plant something on someone. You can't really frame someone in the act of killing someone or raping someone. Cops don't actually catch these perpetrators who commit heinous crimes, murders, rapists, kidnappers. They really don't catch them in the act. You can't just go around catching murderers.
Right.
This isn't a movie. This isn't what cops do. But you can easily, like in New York, stop and frisk, stop and frisk. How many times as a kid in Chicago, cops stop us? What you guys doing? You got something on us? And especially if you don't know your rights, you're a young person, you're scared if 50 rolls up on you. What are you gonna do? If they want to pat you down and oh, I smell something in the car. What y'all got? Right? And then and this is another thing. You get arrested just like I did. When I got popped off, they took everything, car, all the money I had on me. I had just gone shopping, all the clothes, everything I bought, they take it all. And guess what they do? They auction it off. And a lot of departments, the departments for narcotics, in particular police forces, police stations, they're entirely funded on what they confiscate and repossess in drug arrests,
Oh,
which
wow.
incentivizes them even more. So this is why I say it's a war on us. It's laws, and the cops are supposed to be policing. They're supposed to be helping to help people and prevent things, not actively pursue and attack and be incentivized to arrest, fill prisons. It's absolute insanity. It's insanity. It's like, and I say with COVID, it's worse, but it's the same in a sense. It's like an inversion of it, or however one might see it, because it's the same in principle, right? COVID, they wanted to tell us what we have to do with our bodies, what we have to put into our bodies, right? You got to get a vax or this or that or that. But still, they weren't locking people up. I don't know anybody. We could say what we want. We could hype it up all we want, but nobody got locked up because they didn't take a vaccine. Nobody.
Mhm.
But I know, me personally, I know far too many people who are to this day rotting away in prison simply because of what they wanted to put into their body, not what they don't want to put in their body, but what they imagine. Think of the insanity. It is insane. Anybody, please, just all we have to do is step outside of this paradigm of what we see as normal. If we are enlightened beings and we look as the observer, as God would, the observer, and we can see somebody like I am right now in the comfort of my own home, chilling, and I just, I want to smoke a joint. Just same, no different as if I wanted to drink a glass of wine. But because it's a fucking joint and I'm in my own home and not harming anybody, the cops will come and beat down my fucking door, put a gun to my head, and take me away and lock me in prison. And the people will say, "Oh, won't happen." Maybe not now. They're more relaxed, but it's happened. There are people in prison
Yes.
right now, and that's exactly what happened to them. They were sitting at home, smoking a fucking joint, relaxing, minding their own business. Some nosy shithead neighbor snitched on them. Next thing they know, SWAT team is busting down their fucking door, and they're going to prison for 10 years.
I've seen a lot of videos like that online, actually. So it's not as uncommon, but like people need to understand that what you put in your body but is your choice,
That's it.
and that if you want to smoke, if you want to shoot up or whatever, that is your choice to do. No one can tell you that what you're doing is wrong. I mean, obviously if you are harming other people, then
Yeah.
that is a different story. But what you choose to do with yourself is your responsibility and your right and your choice. Now, what
Yeah.
someone forces upon you is not a right and is an immoral action. So mandating that people take shots, that is a wrong, that is not a right. But for someone to enjoy their extracurricular activities is all on them. And I think people
That's
really
right.
need to understand that, because I know people get a little sensitive about the topic of drugs and how harmful it is, but in the end,
Yeah,
everyone has the right to do what they want. But when their actions is causing harm to another being, that is when it's a concern, that is when there is time for action. um
absolutely.
I would like to move on to the next
Let's
question.
do it. Let's go.
So, how would you describe your journey thus far, and what have been some of the most significant challenges you've encountered along the way, as well as what are some of the blessings and opportunities that have emerged on your path?
Okay, great question. I would describe my journey as miraculous. Um, just a miracle that I'm here, that I'm free, that I'm doing what I'm doing. Because as I alluded to previously, it was not. It was. It was supposed to be this way because now I know. But from looking from the outside in, somebody would say, I'm not supposed to be here. My fate was supposed to be totally different. So I'd say it's been a miraculous journey, a spiritual journey, a glorious, triumphant journey. And then, now, because again, if you would have asked me this question 4 or 5 years ago, even, oh, I would have had probably a list of complaints of like what the most challenging, people and all these haters and just small minded, whatever it is. Now, I don't even view those things as negative or as challenging, or I view it all as good. It's all been part of this amazing journey and it's all necessary. All the challenges, all the obstacles. For so long I had a lot of limiting beliefs, especially being here where I'm at. I'm in Europe, in a small town, in a village, in a small country, with not very many resources or support or anything of that nature. So that was something I considered a big challenge. And oh, I don't have this available to me, and I'm not somewhere like Chicago, New York, where I could do shows and have all these things, just anything. And it was all just my own false perception of things. It was my own limiting beliefs that was keeping me stuck and only creating more and more things in my reality that I perceived as challenges. So now I don't even view these things as challenges. I actually view them as advantages to me, because they always ultimately benefit me in the long run and have made me who I am. And I wouldn't change that for anything. So, and what was the last part of the question? I'm sorry.
What are some like blessings and opportunities that have opened
Well,
up
there
for
all
you?
of that, everything, every single thing has been a blessing, honestly. And I don't. It's not lip service. It's really how I feel. This is just where I'm at in my life. It's who I am. I have a strong sense of pronoia, the opposite of paranoia. There was a time in my life where I actually was literally paranoid. People don't know. Most people will never, and thank goodness, they shouldn't ever have to experience what it actually feels like to be paranoid, and for good reason. Beyond fear, beyond anxiety, paranoia. Everything's out to get you. Everybody's out to get you. Don't trust anybody, right?
Mhm.
Um, and now I'm the opposite of that. I'm pronoia, where I think everything. I don't think I know, because I know that in knowing it will be so. So
Yes.
I don't give my time or my energy to thinking about anything in any sense that might be counter myself and what I want to create. It's not a challenge, it's a blessing, it's an opportunity, it's an advantage. Every single thing that presents itself to me now is a blessing. Now it doesn't mean that in a moment I might not have an emotional reaction that goes against what I want to perceive things as, but it's very short lived because I've done the work. And like you said earlier, I think before we started, we were off camera talking about how it's a skill one has to develop. I mean, I've been at this for over a decade, and really, like, since 2020, after COVID was the last time that I really viewed something as, oh, this is so bad. Oh, I'm done. I had so much going for me at the time. I had so many opportunities, and I had just started traveling. things were just, the whole world seemed wide open. And then boom, COVID came and everything shut down, everything. And I got depressed, but it was the last time I said, no, I won't, I can't live like this anymore. I'm tired of being a victim of my circumstances. I'm tired of living this up and down roller coaster ride of emotions and everything, all these external factors dictating how I feel and wanting to be somewhere else, and everything else is going to make me happy. Oh, when I go here, oh, when I get this, oh, when I do that. And I knew intellectually, I did the knowledge already from the beginning. Like I said, this is what get big, grow, expand mentally, spiritually. So I had the intellectual knowledge, but that's not enough. I had to
Mhm.
really lock in and apply it. And it's been every day, the real work, the internal work. And I'm blessed. One of the hugest blessings in my life is that I'm fortunate enough to be able to focus on myself, focus on my purpose, focus on that growth. I don't have to drudge and sludge through the everyday grind, a 9 to 5 job, and doing things that I don't want to do. So that's a huge blessing, and it's allowed and afforded me the freedom to be able to really lock in more than anything and focus on that. But it's paid off extremely. It's paid off. I mean, I've always grown. I've always been growing this whole time, but I've accelerated. I mean, I know everybody who knows me can visibly see and feel such a big change in just the past 3, 4 years since I've really locked in on fully applying every day through relatively simple technique. It's just repetition. Everything is repetition.
Repetition.
That's it. The word itself, petition. When we petition for something, what do? We lobby for it, we ask for it, we seek it. So we have to re-petition our own self, God, our inner self, constantly. It's the way our brains were programmed with all these limiting beliefs and all this negative feedback, and it's everybody else's voice. And that's the thing. How can I sit up here and talk about freedom? How can we sit up here and talk about freedom from external circumstances, from the government, from oppression, when we're not even free from our own thoughts, from other people's thoughts that have been implanted in our minds, but nonetheless have become our own thoughts and feelings, and we're not even free from that. They dictate everything about our everyday lives. Until we truly free our minds and ourselves internally, meaning we control what we think and what we feel, we will never be externally free. Believe that.
Exactly. Exactly. Which is a great little subway to, like, again, check out the Nurture Your Mental Self-Care video that I have right after this one. I'm telling you, everything he's talking about right now is in that video. And
Check it out.
seriously, if you want to change your mindset, if you want to change your emotional health, if you want to change your reality, it all starts with changing the way that you perceive things and the way that you think. Like, your mindset and your thoughts are very important. And the way that we change our mindsets and our thoughts is through repetition, because most of the time our thoughts are negative and they are repetitive and they keep telling us that we're victims, that we can't do anything, that the circumstances suck, all this and that. But when we reprogram, like, actually, no, it's the way that I view things. This is just an opportunity. This is just a chance for me to see where I am blocked within myself. When we take that and we apply that repetitionlessly, I don't even know, that's probably not even a word. But when we keep
It is now.
repeating these new thoughts, they will become a part of us, and we will really start to see changes in our reality. And I mean, honestly, if you want to step into consciously creating your reality, it all starts about your daily habits and repetition. So
Yep.
thank you for sharing that.
Facts.
Can you
Yeah,
tell
absolutely.
me a pivotal moment or experience that inspired you to use your platform for societal change and empowerment?
Yeah, I mean, I already did really, my whole thing basically getting locked up and succumbing to the oppressive forces of government by way of the war on drugs. So that was really the most main pivotal. But I think then also as of late, more recently was COVID for sure. Like I said, because that really changed And even now, I mean, since then, even like what I post, and I used to always be posting just thing so much. I don't even want to say negative because it's necessary too. Like we need people like I was, and we need people who post information and government and memes and even things that maybe we might perceive as negative or even like fear mongering to some degree, because it's all part of the reality. It's all part of the process. It's all part of the yin and yang, the balance of everything, right? So I want to make sure to not knock it, like, but for me, it just it no longer really serves my purpose, because COVID, that was the pivotal event and thing that happened that really made me seek within and find what I've really been looking for, that internal freedom, God, myself, through the spark of divinity that is God, our consciousness. And this is why, how you said, our thoughts, our energy, our attention. We even say pay attention. Pay attention. Okay, let's take that. When you pay for something, you get something for what you pay. So what do we get for when we pay attention? We get whatever we're paying attention to. So if we pay attention to negativity, we're going to get negativity back for what we're going to get our money's worth, essentially. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and many say, Einstein, imagination's more important than intelligence. Neville Goddard, if I don't know if you're familiar with Neville Goddard, I love his teachings, the last
Yes.
great American mystic. Imagination is God, imagination. Because really, the consciousness, imagination is the creative force of God. It's our thoughts. Because scientists can't even explain what is consciousness, what is imagination. They can't explain. Nobody can explain because it's God. It's the spark of divinity. It's the fractal of God. It's the creative force that created everything. It's not as powerful as the all, the creator of all, but it has that power, which
Mm-hmm.
within our realm is vastly more powerful than anything we know of in this existence. And it can, in fact, create our reality in infinite, limitless possibilities and ways that are relatively feeble minds in comparison to the all, the creative force, cannot comprehend. And that's where we need to be humble. That's where what I was speaking before we started about humility, being humble and saying, I can't possibly know all the ways that this, because our minds, I'm such a logical, rational, reasonable person, right? Like this is how I'm able to really formulate the rhymes I do and come up with the critical thinking abilities and analyze. But it became a hindrance to me because the logical conclusion of logic is delusion in a good way. Because logic will only take you so far and to a point
Yes.
where you say, I logic isn't going to work anymore. I have to be what some might refer to as delusional. I have to have so much faith that it's not even faith. People say believe, have faith. No, scrap that, because belief implies still some, even a little level of uncertainty. You have to know. That's delusion, not belief. Delusion means you know something that other people cannot see, cannot feel, cannot experience, but you know it's true. You know it's going to happen. And when you do, this is the power. This is when it really happens, and all of this came from this last kind of depression that I had with COVID and really setting my mind like, I can't do this anymore. I can't be a slave, a victim to external circumstances. I already know that there's a way. I know that there's this force inside of me. I need to stop being so focused on the 3D material world. So many things had me distracted. All my goals and ambitions in the 3D world, ex-girlfriend, wanting to leave, wanting to do this, wanting to do whatever, all distracting me from the thing that mattered the most until I locked in. So that was the most pivotal. And honestly, I mean, but everything was part of leading. That's why
Yeah.
when a person really kind of knows everything is equally as pivotal and important. Everything that ever happened from the time I was born, conceived, even before that, everything just served to lead me to where I'm at and to where I need to be. But in the 3D, I would say that the whole COVID years.
I feel that, and that's so funny. Like the things you mentioned is like we have pretty like a similar like story. When COVID hit, I used to live in Ohio, and Ohio got like shut down, and I was like, I cannot be here like during COVID. So I got the opportunity to move, and I moved to like the West Coast and moved to like a very small country town. Like, I mean, like
Mm,
I lived in the country and I loved it. But I think that's so cool. But you mentioned Neville Goddard, and I've just
yeah.
recently got into his work about a year and a half ago, and I actually have his book, Awareness, and it has imagination in it as well.
Mm, mm,
And I've been flipping through it because I'm very curious to read it, but I'm actually in the middle of reading another book, so I don't want to distract myself from the other book that I'm reading. But it's so funny because I've recently been living a very delusional life, and I've learned to like trust it because I'm very logical too. It's hard for me to like look at my 3D and be like, well, like this is my circumstances, this is my experiences, like how is this supposed to like manifest for me in the physical? But then I'm
yeah.
starting to lean on like the 3D is only temporary, and it's always changing and it's always moving, and that you have to live from a place of delusion, which I know a lot of people will hear that and kind of be turned off to it. But when you live in a delusion and you live as what you want is facts, it has no choice to manifest. And
Right.
like I said, like for the last year and a half, I've been consciously manifesting things into my life, like physical evidence of my imaginations and what I've been thinking has come to fruition in my physical realm. And I've been teaching my daughter about it, and she's a
That's
pro
amazing.
at manifesting, like consciously manifesting, and it's been such a fun journey. Honestly, I
Yeah.
honestly recommend anyone to start living delusional, like not living outside of reality.
Right.
You still need to be planted in the 3D, but you
Yeah.
can live
Right.
mentally in
Yeah.
your delusion. So let's say you're at a job that you cannot stand and you want to get out, but this is your only source of income and you got a family. You got to live from the place that you have the income, the job that you want, and you got to live there. When you drive into
Mhm.
work, you hate it every day. You got to be thinking like, I'm driving to my dream job. Like, I love it. I'm so
Yep.
happy. I'm so glad I get to do what I love and stuff. And you have to have faith that if you keep being delusional, that it will materialize in your reality. And so
That's right.
I
That's
would
super
like,
dope too that you got your daughter, because children for sure. I mean, their minds are so malleable, and they can take to stuff like this without, we've been programmed our whole lives, because I know I didn't really wake up and start changing until I was almost 30, right? So at that, we had to do all this cleaning, emptying the cup to fill it back up and reprogramming. Whereas kids, if you get them early, man, your daughter's definitely going to be very powerful in that realm of manifesting. That's super dope. Really cool.
yeah, it's nothing like, I don't know. I'm glad I had the chance to raise my daughter where my mindset is at now than before I had my awakening. I really don't like that word either, but when I
Yeah.
came online and stuff, like if I would have raised my daughter then, I feel like I wouldn't have given her as much value, that the knowledge that I have now. And I love it. Like she likes manifesting. I love hearing her talk about like I'm gonna create this into my experiences. And she's, like I
That's so
said, she's
dope.
pretty good. Like just real quick, like we were leaving out somewhere, and my daughter's like, I want someone to compliment how beautiful our family is. And she was like, should we manifest that? And I'm like, well, you can manifest it. I kid you not. About 40 minutes later, we're leaving the store and we're putting a wheelbarrow in the back of my vehicle. And this truck is driving and stops and goes, "You have such a beautiful family." And we all looked at each other like, nobody just
That's
randomly was
amazing.
saying that. And so I
No,
think that gave
no,
her
she
that.
made it happen.
Right. That gave her the confidence to see, like for real, this is when you commit to that and you say that that's
Yeah,
what's going to happen. It has no choice but to manifest. We are
that's right.
always conscious, whether we're conscious or not, we're always creating our experiences. So
Thanks.
let's not dwell on what is happening in our reality and start living in the place of what we want to see in our experiences.
That's
So
it.
let's move on to the next question. I'm
Let's
curious to
do it.
know what individuals helped you on your journey to understanding what's going on in the world.
Every single individual that has ever crossed my path, and many more that haven't. Literally. And I know a lot of times this stuff sounds like cliche or like just the right thing to say, but it's just who I am at this point. Honestly, I mean, I used to not be. Literally, if somebody really wants to go, they could go and listen to interviews I did years ago, and I won't be talking like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was bitter at people, my ex, people that double crossed me, set me up, snitched on me, the world, government, haters. You know, I had so many, um, such a negative, and even though I would still probably would most people would still consider me a positive person. That's what's wild about it. Like even now I look back and I was like, man, I had such a negative perspective on things. Like, but still I probably was still more positive than most, right? Like, and people still viewed me as a positive force for change. And you can be. It's not that like, oh, if you have any negative, we also should be mindful of like it's not about perfection. So
Mm-hmm.
sure, I can now look back and say on myself and reflect on myself and say, man, I was on some negative shit back then. But it still doesn't mean that I didn't contribute so positively to so many people's lives and wasn't a force for positivity. However, I just I didn't not even think because I could. That's the thing. For me, I could always grasp things intellectually. I knew, okay, that I should be grateful for everything, that everybody plays some role in, but I just didn't experientially understand it. I didn't feel it. I didn't really feel it. Back then it just would have been lip service if I said it. So I didn't say it because it just didn't. I'm that kind of person. If it doesn't resonate as true to me, even if I intellectually understand that it's truth, I'm not going to say it for myself. But
Mm-hmm.
now it really resonates as truth. Like, and I've exemplified this in my own personal life with my personal relationships, like with my father, for example. I mean, that was the biggest point of contention in my life. My mother too. There was with my mother, but mainly with my father. Just so much resentment, so much hurt, and so much pain. And I totally changed my perspective on him, on everything, and healed and worked, and have a great relationship with him now. And it's not because he changed, it's because I did. um Even my ex, another big, big, you know challenge for me at the time, and something, a person that I had so much what I would perceive as negative feelings, and for a long time, right? And even that, even though we're not in contact anymore, doesn't matter. I don't have to be, because I, in my heart, am totally healed of that pain, and really just have love for her, and nothing but, you know what I mean? Nothing but good, positive thoughts and energy towards her and towards everybody. Even the people that did me so dirty nearly 20 years ago, that at the time I felt like ruined my life, totally set me up literally for the worst things possible. Even them, it's all, and this is why Christ always, what's the main teaching? Forgiveness. And it's
Yes.
not for the other person's sake, it's for our sake. Because when we forgive them, we forgive ourselves. And in doing so, we free ourselves. We free ourselves of the burden of the negative energy and the thoughts that it's the poison that we drink thinking that it's going to impact the other person, but it just poisons us.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, when we free ourselves and we forgive ourselves and we recognize and we love ourselves, I love myself. I love everything about myself, my life. I wouldn't want anything to be different. So how could I possibly have resentment towards anyone or anything in my past? When I
Mm-hmm.
recognize that every single person that I ever encountered, everything that ever happened served my greatest, highest good. It made me who I am. It brought me here. It's all my creation anyway, especially that. You know, that's the thing when we take, and this is the beauty of taking full responsibility and accountability, understanding the power that we have. Stop being a fucking victim and say, oh yeah, that shit that happened to me back in the days, in the past, they set me up and snitched up. I did that. They didn't. They did it in the 3D, but I did it. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
my ex, oh, she did no, I did it. Oh, I did it. So how can I be mad or resentful or anything other than grateful knowing that, oh, I did all of that? Because all it does is reaffirm that I can do anything, that I created all of this. And I can, in my life, I can pinpoint, I see it so clearly. Everything that happened, I can reflect and see what was my state of being at the time. What state of being was I in? What was I resonating with? Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's exactly why I manifested the things that I did. Because I was unconsciously creating. But now that I'm conscious, I could see exactly the state of being that I was in and why I created it. I'm not a victim of circumstance. It's not accident. It's my power. And what kind
Mm-hmm.
of a God would blame anyone or resent anyone or anything for their own power and their own creation? That's not a God, right? Now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not the God. I want to make that clear to people. I'm not delusional. I'm not the God, but I am a God unto myself. That's
Which
it.
I
I'm a God. I'm the God of my reality, as we all are, of your
Yes.
own reality. That's it.
Which I want to, emphasize that is that we do create our experiences, our interactions with people. I mean, even when we are young, whether we are conscious of it or not, we are the creators in our own right, but we are not greater than the all creator. The creator gave us a gift of it to be in control of our own experiences, and that's why self responsibility is so important. You have to become responsible of your healing, of your thoughts, your mindsets, how you show up in the world, what you do in the world. And so that all starts with, like, your perspective of yourself as well. Do you feel that you are powerful enough to create your experience, or do you feel like a victim to your circumstances? It's all about how you change it. And once you change your perspective and you stay delusional in that new perspective, you will see shifts in your experiences. And I think it's awesome that you've gone through, the true inner work of self-reflection and healing your past. Even if you didn't necessarily heal it with that individual, you took it within yourself to do that work within. And I can vouch for myself. Growing up, I didn't really have like the greatest relationship with my mother. It was very rocky. Uh, I mean, we all have our past, which my mom is here tuning to this live. So I love you, mommy. You the best.
Hey.
Me and my mom fell out for some time where we didn't even talk. And I had a lot of resentment. And it was, she did this, she didn't do this, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
When I realized, like, wait, actually, it's my responsibility to, heal those parts of me and to, really take time for myself and to forgive myself and forgive my mother. and recognize that we're all human. Like, we all make mistakes. And as I
Yeah,
get older, as I get older, I realize that, like, I can't fault my parents for what they did or didn't do. I come to realize that we all make mistakes. Like, I'm not the greatest mother. Like, I do my best to be a great mom, but I know that I will make mistakes, and I try to be honest with my daughter as much. Like, hey, I'm only human. Like, if I make a mistake, you need to call me out on that. And that's really done a
mhm,
lot for our relationship as well. So, like, I really urge people to seriously do the inner work, heal your past. Like, if you have any troubles with your parents or relationships or anything, you need to take that time to reflect within and come to terms with those experiences so that you can release that burden on yourself and on that other person. Rather they come around and be who you need them to be, you have to start that work on your own.
that's right. Well said.
Awesome. So let's move on. So
Okay.
right now we are in the middle of some troubling times where our freedom is slowly being taken away from us, and we are in the midst of tyranny from all aspects of our lives. So I want to know, Diesel, in your opinion, what are some key elements needed for the mass to achieve true sovereignty?
Everything we've just talked about. First and foremost, seek within. Get right with yourself. Get right with God, the God within you. Take accountability. Take responsibility. In fact, forget the government. Stop focusing on the government. Stop focusing on the oppression that they're causing. Now, there's a difference between being aware, taking action to counter it, to protect yourself, your family, do what you got to do. But get out of this every day having to post about it, talk about it, complain about it. Oh man, stop it. It's not doing anything. It's perpetuating. Again, everything goes back to the inner workings of our thoughts and our feelings. And oh yeah, but how's that gonna, well, when if every individual gets right with themselves, gets right with God, you're not ever going to want to harm another person. You're not ever, because you will see that everybody, you don't have to harm anyone, steal from anyone, do anything, because you control your reality. Anything you want, you can have through God, through the God force within you. And you will recognize that just as you are entitled to have this experience, be God experiencing God's self through you, through your consciousness, so is everybody else. And in doing so, then you'll never want to impose, impede, infringe upon their freedom to do so. And then the collective consciousness will be resonating on such a high level that all the wars and all the oppression and everything we are afraid of will just melt away. There won't be a need for a revolution or overthrowing of the system or any of this nonsense. Because guess what, people? Guess what? Even today, if some of these revolutionaries, oh, rah, 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 no, we need to, I've had people, I've always given this message of the internal revolution of self, literally from the beginning. I have
I like
many
that song too.
songs. Yes, I have many, many songs. Revolution of self. Revolution starts inside. Revolution, the song. All of them, everything I do has always been about, it all really starts within the revolution of self. And I've had people, oh, man, that's BS. I want to kill politicians. And no, we got to overthrow the government. And yeah, and then what? Here's a hypothetical situation. Okay, tomorrow the whole system crashes. It's all done. Then what? You know what would happen? It'd be worse. It'd be worse. I don't care. Call me what you want. This is not a endorsement of government or statism, but I'd rather have the current system right now than no system tomorrow, because people are not ready. It will be
Yes.
worse. They will be
Yes.
murdering, raping, stealing. It will not be anarchy. It will be chaos, total
Chaos.
and utter chaos. The worst of the worst in people will come out because people are already functioning from survival mode, fear based. So if the system crashed, resources were scarce, power was down, It would be literal, absolute reptilian mind survival mode, and we would see the absolute worst in humanity. And there would be no organization, no structure moving forward, nothing. People might celebrate for an hour, and then the rioting would start, and the looting would start, and the raping and the killing would start. So let's get out of that delusion. That's a delusional state. That's a fantasy land that people are living in that we need to get rid of, because until we are right, until we get right with ourselves, until we get right with God within us, and we find peace and love and compassion, and we realize that this is our reality, we can create it. We don't need to fear. Get over the fear. It's all fear based. Until we do that, all of our efforts in the 3D are in vain. It's all just going to continue to perpetuate this cycle of oppression and violence and people fighting for freedom. But in doing so, there because it doesn't matter what your external actions are. You could be so good intentioned. You could be really just protesting and fighting for freedom and radiating positivity, just as I was. But on the inside, your thoughts and your feelings are, we're doomed. We're doomed. This is
Mhm.
horrible. We're oppressed. Nobody gets it. People aren't waking up. I'm the only one who really get whatever it is. All
Yeah.
because I know that's what the majority of us are doing. We could do whatever we want externally, but I know that on the inside, people are feeling hopeless. They're feeling scared. They're just focusing on the oppression and not focusing on themselves and changing their thoughts and their minds, their consciousness. And with each and every individual, it's like a drop in the ocean. And ultimately, it will create this tidal wave of collective consciousness that will just wipe away everything that we want, and a new reality will be formed. And this isn't mumbo jumbo, airy fairy talk. I'm sure to some people it sounds like it. It probably would have sounded that way to me 10, 15 years ago. But I
Mhm.
know I don't think it's not a belief. I know it's true. It's the only real objective truth in this reality. And that's it. We can't. Now I'm not saying, don't get me wrong. Again, many things can be true, and we can still live and be grounded in the 3D. So of course, hey, get you some guns, get you some ammunition if you feel that's necessary. Be ready. Cool. But there's a big difference between taking action one time, being ready, and leaving it alone. And going, getting your guns, and then every day counting your bullets and loading your guns and cleaning them and oh, I dare you, government scum, to come get me. They're gonna come get you. You're gonna get exactly what you want. You're gonna get exactly what you're thinking about. Trust, because that's exactly what happened to me. I was in the streets hustling, doing all this, and of course, it's unavoidable. You're scared. You're thinking all the time about, damn, they probably gonna get me. Somebody's probably gonna set me up. That's exactly what happened.
Mhm.
That's exactly what fucking happened. Right? It's unavoidable. It's the inevitable consequence. The end result, we create our reality, whether consciously or unconsciously, and then collectively. So we
Yes.
all better just go in, seek within, seek yourself, seek God through yourself, your consciousness, your mind, your thought, creative force, the spark of divinity within you, and focus that on the reality you want to see. Stop focusing on all the things you don't want to see, all the things you don't like. Oh, the oppression. Oh, this and that. Oh. Fine, I get it. Nobody has to teach me. I'm the teacher. You don't have to teach me about the ways of the world and the oppression that exists. I get it. So what? So what? That's
I
it.
I I definitely agree, especially when it comes to like the government and stuff like that. Like I don't ever see that one humanity at the state of it's not right now cannot live life without some type of system in place. So overthrowing the system would be irresponsible and we would only see worse, and then people would say See, this is exactly why we need government. And that's
Yeah.
not really why we need government. We need a system. And before we can have a system, the most important thing that we have to do to achieve sovereignty and freedom as a people is that we have to know ourselves. We have to know that we are the creative power in our experience, in our reality, and that we have the power to not only affect our own reality, but the collective reality as well. And once we know that and we embody that and we put that into practice, then things will unfold in ways that we can't even possibly imagine. But people are afraid to do that inner work because that means you got to face your shit. You got to deal with that
Yeah.
stuff that is inside of you, all of those thoughts, all of that negativity that tells you that this is life, this is the best that it's gonna get. This, I just have to deal, I just have to be happy with my 9 to 5 job. I just got to do what I say, and no one's gonna like touch me. Everyone's just gonna leave me alone, and I'm gonna be fine. But that same mentality is going to keep us stuck in the same rat race, the same tyranny that we are facing. And if you don't know that we are in tyranny right now, then you are not paying attention. It
Yeah.
is clear on the wall, especially when COVID hit. Like we went to New Mexico because we were going to originally move to New Mexico. We went to New Mexico and there was a sign that says that if you have not been quarantined for 2 weeks before, like, as a guest, like when you're visiting, if you haven't been quarantined for 2 weeks, then you will get a $10,000 fine. Like, I'm not about to stay in New Mexico for 3 weeks just so that I can go check out some places to live. Like, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, if you're gonna
Crazy.
fine me for
Yeah.
being out,
And
like,
just and that alone shows you that it was BS, because if you don't quarantine, the point of it is that you can spread a disease that can kill people. What is a fine gonna do? How does a fine prevent that? If it's done, it's done. Oh well, here. So it's not the fine. That it's literal proof that it was never about actually preventing a disease from spreading. No, it was a racket and just a control. A ploy for more control. That's it.
agreed. Agreed. But let's just take this away, guys. Like, in order for us to truly see freedom within our own lives and to experience freedom collectively, it starts with that inner work. It starts with getting to know who you are, getting to know that power within you, getting to know that you in the creator are one in one. You don't need nobody else to lead you to the creator. When you do that inner work, you find the creator within yourself. Again, that does not mean that you yourself are the almighty creator. It just means
No.
that you have the power of the creator and you have that connection to the creator within yourself. So,
Yes.
right
Oh,
now,
I want to say this just real quick because it's important. If you do, because it is hard to avoid the 3D world and the things with government and oppression, right? So me, this is I still make songs about it, and this is the way, right? Is if you want, make a song, write a poem, get it out of your system, write it down and let it be. That's why, like, because I know somebody might say, oh, but Diesel, well, you still make songs about go. Yes, that's the point. That's why I do it, because I feel some kind of way. And instead of just pushing it down, and I get it out, I make a song, boom, I put it out and I'm done with it. That's it. So that's a really good way, I think, for people to deal with the overwhelming feelings that come with knowing that we do live in this 3D world full of tyranny and oppression and injustice. Is find a creative outlet that you could kind of just get it out one time and let it be, as opposed to having it looping in your mind, that obsessive thinking about it, and then of course the obsessive sharing and complaining and talking. Do some creative, draw, make a picture, write a poem, write a story, make a song, do something creative to get it out of your system, and then let it be.
most certainly. And I'm not an advocate to ignoring what's going on in the world. Like, I do believe that people need to go down a couple of rabbit holes, but don't
For
get
sure.
stuck just going down the rabbit hole. Don't get depressed because trust me, it's very depressing. For like
Oh
the
yeah.
first 2 years of my experience, I went down the rabbit hole so deep and I felt so much anger and was ready to act irrationally. But it isn't about constantly looking into that stuff. It isn't about constantly complaining. It's about finding what you can do. And the one thing that you can do is take control back of yourself and your lives. And so
Biggest thing.
I wasn't gonna do this, but I think I am gonna do this. So
Do it.
occasionally I write poetry,
Okay.
and when I'm feeling expired, and so I wrote this poetry because there was one day where I looked out in the sky and I could see like at least like 40 different chemtrail lines in the sky. And as I'm looking out the window now, they're spraying a chemtrail across the sky now with about
God.
5 chemtrails now. And
And
so
where
I
you at?
really,
Where
huh?
you at right now?
Oh, I stay in Idaho.
Oh, Idaho. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I I live in
You're
the
the only
well, I don't
person
live
I've
in
ever you're the only person I've ever met that lives in Idaho. Never met somebody from Idaho. That's
I
cool.
I never even I didn't really look. Of course I knew Idaho exists, but I never was like, yeah, I'm gonna move to Idaho. Yeah, it just
Yeah,
happened. It's just
that's
how,
dope.
the cards
Yeah.
fell. But I love it
Yes.
out here. It's a bunch of freedom loving people. So I'm
Yeah, I've
going to
heard.
share a poem that I created a few years back, and then we're gonna get back into the interview.
Yeah,
So
perfect. Let's do it. Spit those bars.
chemtrail filled skies, mass media spitting out lies. We're all here dying. When will they stop the lying? At first, chemtrails didn't. Oh, sorry. It's been a while. Hold on.
It's all good.
All right. Chemtrail filled skies, mass media spitting out lies. Never mind. I'm not gonna do it. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Nah, come
I
on.
will
Wait,
redo
give it
it.
one more try. Hold on. Breathe in and just focus. Try to block out the noise and let it flow. Let's see if you get it this time. If you don't, it's all good.
All right. Chemtrail filled skies, mass media spitting out lies. There's no more denying U.S. military planes are flying. Just contrails, they say, as they continue to spray away. HARP and weather manipulation, 5G spreading out through the nation. We're all out here dying. When will they stop the line? Wait, spreading out through the nation. Aluminum. No, I just cannot get it. I am so sorry, guys.
You almost had it though. You did better this time. It sounds dope. It sounds dope. What you did spit. I'm feeling it.
I it's oh my goodness. I honestly I haven't said this in so long, so I can't remember it. But I promise you guys, I will redo it and I will post it on my YouTube so that you
Yeah,
guys can
yeah, do
forget what I just did and you guys can actually
it.
hear for what it is. So I do apologize. I am a little nervous. So
Nah, don't even apologize. Like, no reason to apologize. That was dope. I mean, listen, I gotta always commend anybody. Like, it's not even, you just out of, because I thought you were gonna read it. I thought you had it like written down. You was going off memory off, and it's not a recent poem. So I give you props. Like, don't even trip. That was dope. That was
thank
dope.
you. I
Yeah,
appreciate your support. But with that,
of
let's
course.
get back into the video.
Okay. Yeah.
So right now I see one of the biggest challenges that humanity face is that people don't understand what's going on, and others just don't feel like they have the power to change reality as it is. So
Mm.
how do you believe individuals can cultivate a mindset of empowerment and self-belief, especially in the times that we find ourselves in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get real. People are gonna get real bored of me because I'm like a broken record. Just God within. Everything goes back. Everything is gonna go right, lead you right back. Everything externally is gonna lead you right back within. We could seek empowerment externally, sure, fine. Do something, help people, great. I'm not saying amazing. We can empower ourselves through helping others, and particularly empowering others. Like, for sure, there's definitely power in that, right? But anything that is external is always going to leave us dependent on the external. This is the problem. So even if we're empowering ourselves through helping others and doing all this amazing stuff, What happens when, for whatever reasons, as it can happen, life happens, you're not in a position to help other people, or maybe people reject your help, or for whatever reasons you just can't. Then what? Then what do you do? Right? So anything that we seek externally, whether it's self-empowerment, confidence, validation, love, peace, anything is fleeting, because it leaves us dependent on the external, on things that are still outside of us and outside of our control. So the irony is, when we seek within and we seek all those things within and we empower ourselves within through our thoughts and our feelings, through the God force energy, then we actually create those things in the 3D for ourselves,
Mhm.
right? And we don't have to worry about them being fleeting. Because when no matter what, if we're caught up in the 3D, if we're caught up in the material world and attached to it, it comes by default with a level of fear and anxiety that we can lose it, because we inherently, spirit knows that all things in the material are illusory and fleeting, and
Mhm.
they it can all perish anytime. That's anybody, any, I don't care how close you are to somebody or whatever it is, they can be gone at any moment, anytime, for any reason, right? And we know that. We inherently know that. So as long as we're attached to anything in the material, there's going to be a level of fear and anxiety about losing it. And that fear and anxiety is actually going to create loss. And that very thing we fear, and that sadness, right? Now, when we seek within and we find self empowerment, especially through the knowledge and the truth of reality, that we, through our thoughts and through the God force power, create our reality, whatever we want to see, and it's all there for us, and that everything is perfect and it already is there. It's everything is exactly the way it should be. Then we don't have anything to fear. And as long as
Mhm.
we're not in a state of fear, in that low vibrational state, we're going to be empowered. That's the ultimate that's the ultimate empowerment. No fear. No fear. That there's nothing more empowering than that. And when we know that we are God, we are infinite. We'll never die. Oh, our physical, so what? Our essence will never die. We actually can never lose anything that is real, which is the spirit, the life force, the connection to God. We can only lose in the material. And that's why when we're attached to the material, we're attached to fear. When we let go of the material and we're grounded in the true nature of reality, spirit, we have nothing to fear. And when we have nothing to fear, we are fully empowered. Then we have the power of God, the power of God. And that is the ultimate. There's nothing more empowering than that. So,
Mhm. I agree. I do believe that self empowerment starts with self awareness, and you can't have self empowerment without self awareness. So, again, the true inner work, really spending time with yourself, really reflecting with yourself, really testing out your creative abilities, not like artistic creative, but consciously creating in your experience to see that, yes, you do have control. So, that was awesome, Diesel. Thank you for sharing that. I would like to
yeah.
shift over to the topic of music.
Oh, okay.
And I want to know, where did your love for hip hop? I know you mentioned it before, but like, where did your love from hip
Yeah.
hop come from? And who are some of your biggest inspirations?
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's I was born in '81, so I grew up, was a young buck in late '80s, early '90s, and again, it's just product of my environment. My older sisters, bless them, they were B girls. They were hip hop heads. Like, they were chilling with the hip hop crews, and so I saw from them at the earliest age they were listening to rap. So I picked it up from them while at home, and then got older, and it was just around the neighborhood, at school, the homies. And I just had a immediate passion and love for it, rap especially, but all elements of hip hop culture, you know. And I did everything as a youth: graffiti, breakdance. Didn't really do DJing, but really was part of the culture. I mean, we had crews, we used to battle, everything. It was you know, as hip hop as it gets. Like that type of thing doesn't even exist anymore. I don't think. I don't think the youth does it like that anymore. Like, you know, we were really, really about that life as far as like hip hop. Um, and yeah, just it chose me. You know, I didn't. Now it's different. You know what I'm saying? Any kid from anywhere in the world, and it's a good thing too. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. It's just different nowadays. Any kid anywhere in the world could just, you know, go out to the store, buy a microphone, a mixer, and go online and rap, and they're a rapper now. You know, I grew up, you couldn't just be some random kid from the suburbs or somewhere and just, oh, I'm gonna be a rapper. Like, nah, you had to come up in that environment, and it had to kind of choose you in that sense. And then you had to still show and prove. You had to earn your stripes. Nobody was just able to just come and say, yeah, I'm a rapper. I'm an MC. What? Spit. Go ahead. Battle. You got to battle. I mean, I've been in more battles than cats have even probably written rhymes in their lives and won them all off the top of the dome freestyle. This is how I earned my respect in hip hop, right? So it just was something that really chose me, especially because I just I was born to rap. Like that's the main, like I was born in the right place at the right time in the environment with all the right circumstances, and I just from the first time I rapped, Bianca, I was dope. I'm not one of those stories like Eminem, you know, oh, they bullied him and cats told him he was whack. And even White Boy, even though I was the only white boy, one of the very few at least, spitting at the time, you know, back in the days amongst mainly black and Hispanic kids, still, sure, if I would go and step into a cipher where cats didn't know me, yeah, you know, and we're battling, of course, it's low hanging fruit. So it would always be, oh, white boy, what does this white boy think? But as soon as I spit, it didn't matter. Nobody ever in my whole career of rapping until I got online. Of course, online, there's always going to be some type of haters, like, you know, but even that, honestly, I probably, as far as rappers go, statistically, I probably have received the lowest amount of hate on my rapping skills. I really, even online, I haven't gotten much hate. Like people will hate on me because of my opinions and my philosophies and the stuff I talk about. Rarely, very rarely has anybody even online been like, man, you suck, dog. You suck at rapping. But actually in the streets growing up, never, never. In fact, it was the opposite. From the moment I started rapping, even the big homies when I was in high school, the old, you know, the older cats that were the best at the time showed me respect. Like, dog, you know, off jump. Everybody, you're made for this. Everybody knew that I was meant to be a rapper, an MC, famous, whatever it was, successful as a rapper. That was my destiny. From the moment I started rapping, never, nobody ever questioned it. You know, I'm not one of those stories like, yeah, I had to overcome, everybody doubted on me, da da da. Nah, it wasn't like that, you know. So, and that's what I mean by I had something. I can't exactly, I think it's, to me, I view rapping um as a problem. It's like problem solving, it's like puzzle solving, right? That's the way I view rhyming. Like you have this, the puzzle is the message you want to convey, and then the words are the pieces of the puzzle. And I'm just my brain is wired as such where I can solve problems, I can solve puzzles, and I just find ways to put all those pieces of the puzzle together to make the form the picture very nicely. And when I was young, it was all off the top freestyle. So I'm very quick witted. My brain works fast. It just, even to this day, I'm like my friend when I'm with my friends and we're just clowning, like I'm the one who has the quick responses for things like, you ain't gonna clown because that's really how for us, it really freestyling, even like the rhyme and battling, it started with we called it heating or ranking. They called it dirty dozens, whatever, clowning, just making fun of each other. This was the popular thing to do as kids. And actually, the first time I really ever spit a rap in front of people was at school. Our thing was making fun of each other. Oh, your mom's so fat. Oh, you so ugly. You so fat. Whatever it was, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know what it was or what the exact situation was, but in middle school, I came up with a clever rhyme to heat on somebody, as we called it. And one day somebody said something to me, and I busted out the rhyme, the rhyme form, making fun of them. And I mean, everybody went crazy. The whole class, nobody had ever done it in rhyme form before, at least in my school. Right.
Hmm.
So everybody, and that's when one of my main homies was like, dog, you should start writing rhymes and this and that. And that was kind of the spark, even though before then, I remember watching Crisscross, Jump, that came out probably like, I think that came out in 90, 91. So I was like 10, 11 years old. And I remember seeing it and be like, I could do better than that. I know I can. I knew even as a kid, I was like, I know. And I started thinking of rhymes and how I would come up with something better. So I just always knew, I always had it in me. And like I said, too, I mean, it's for me, of course, I can't, I can't speak on anything without going deeper to some metaphysical level and beyond the 3D. And I know that every circumstance of my life was chosen and sculpted by myself and the creator, through the creator, to be the exact perfect circumstances that I needed to fulfill my purpose and my destiny in life. So it was written. None of it is by accident. None of it is by coincidence. It was all my doing. It was all my doing to create Diesel Automatic to fulfill my purpose and my destiny. So, and that's why, in hindsight, everything was perfect. It was the
Hmm.
exact perfect circumstances, right? It's how scientists want to look at evolution. Oh yeah, there were these exact perfect, the perfect exact circumstances of for life to grow and this and that. How the heck can we look back on the planet and all these, every little tiny, the air temperature, the oxygen, the carbon, everything, and they call that coincidence? Oh, it just happened that way to everything. Like, no, it was preordained. It was
Yes.
meant to be that way. And we could look at our lives the same way.
I agree. So I told you this before, but I suffered 14 years of depression and anxiety and being suicidal. I was abusing substances and all of that. I didn't have no purpose in my life. And then, like, now later down my journey, I realized that all of those were stepping stones to get me where I'm at now. And now I feel like one of my greatest missions here is to, I think I think there's a war on our mental health. I think that is one of the most dangerous thing that's going on right now, because when you mess with someone's mental health, you mess with their ability to perceive reality
For
as it
sure.
can be, and you put them in fear and anxiety and guilt and shame, which guilt and shame will kill anybody's spirit. But I
Yep.
recognize that I had to go through those experiences so that I can overcome them, so I can help other people overcome them. And so it has made the transition from seeing my life as, bad and just bad things happen to me, and seeing like, well, I see that I had to be in this position because there are other people who are in this position but don't have necessarily the courage or the strength that I had to survive this. And I meant to be here to help them, guide them out of, whatever circumstances that they're facing that they feel like they have no control of, or they feel like they're losing to. And so I think that's amazing that you took what you experienced in your life and you see that it was all a part of a greater picture. And during my journey, I realized like nothing is a mistake. Even like when we are kids and things happen to us, none of that just happened. We chose to have that experience in our life for some reason or not. Rather, it was something that we had to overcome, or it was something that we just had to deal with in this lifetime. But everything that we experience in life, we have some type of control over, and we are not meant to dwell in the pain and the suffering of our past or experiences. We're supposed to go through it and then overcome it and become better.
Facts. Yeah. That's amazing.
Thank you. So I would like you to share your perspective regarding the music industry and how it impacts society negatively, and how can
Mm,
artists and listeners work towards creating a more positive change in the music industry.
good question. Good question. Um, the primary way is, of course, like we've talked about everything. It's like you said, there's this war on mental health and on the mind, which I would say is more because you even alluded to it by saying, when the when there's this attack on the mind and guilt and shame, that it destroys the spirit. So really, to me, the mind is the gateway to the spirit ultimately. So it's really more like a spiritual war, on the deepest level, and it all goes through the mind. So it's multifaceted, right? Mental war, war on the mind, war on mental health, war on the spirit, whatever we want to call it, right? And so this is how music, because music is so powerful. It's so powerful on multiple levels. So first we have to understand that music is merely vibration. It's just frequency, right? So the frequency itself of music uh, can have a profound impact on people. Just frequency alone, it can heal or it can destroy. It can totally change our DNA. This is even modern science will concede this point, right? That music is sound, vibration. It's so powerful. It can alter our mind state. It can do things that we would perceive as miracles. It can heal literally cancerous cells, all this kind of stuff, right? So that's all that music itself is without words. Let's forget about the words for now. Just the sound vibrations, the harmonies, the melodies, the bass, all of it. It's vibrations. So that alone has some impact on our state of being. But then you couple it with words, which in and of themselves are also sound vibration, but more importantly, have meaning to them. And the meaning, of course, resonates with our minds and creates images in our minds, in our imagination, that essentially become ingrained in there, is particularly through repetition. And the reason why music is by far the most powerful tool and has been weaponized is because nothing is used more repetitively to
Yeah.
implant thoughts and energy vibration than music. Nothing. Because people will, myself included, you like a song, you listening to that joint all day, every day on repeat. It's facts. You might like a movie, but you ain't about to sit there and watch it all day, every day. Some people do, but very rarely, right? You might like a book. You ain't reading a book all day, every day on repeat, even an audio book, right? Most people not. Music repetitively over and over and over and over again. So the music in and of itself as a one-off type of thing, even the worst of the worst, like the worst lyrics, which typically comes from either like death metal or rap. Let's be honest. No other genre of music aside from death metal, the really hardcore, satanic type of metal, or rap is talking about killing and murdering people.
Mhm.
It's only these two forms of music that are talking about these heinous acts, and that people and see rap is the focal point of my, because let's be honest, the masses aren't bumping satanic death metal. They're not. You know, they're bumping gangster rap and on repeat all day, every day. You know, and it's people who don't even know anything about that life. They're so far removed from that life, and that's why they bump it. That's Now, don't get me wrong, there's certainly cats in the hood who are about that life and they bump it and they relate to it. Like look, when I was in the hood and doing what I was doing, it was the soundtrack to my life. And I often say it didn't make me rap does not did not make me do what I, because that's corny. That's like the fake cats in the burbs who hear, you know, some gangster rap and want to go out and try and live it. No, it was we were doing it anyway. It was the environment. But the music we listened to influenced it, contributed to it heavily, heavily. Because back then I'm listening to 50 Cent, I'm listening to G Unit, Jay-Z, I'm listening to these cats talking about getting money. Because mainly for me, it was about getting money. You know, I wasn't a gangster, I wasn't a thug, although those are labels that have been used to describe me in the past. I described myself as a hustler. I was about getting money. Now, sometimes anyone in the streets knows, even if you're a hustler and getting money, sometimes you have to do things that aren't the nicest things, right? Because that's how the streets are. But my main thing was getting money. So for me, it was mainly the guys who were talking about getting money, selling drugs by any means necessary, so on and so forth. So it influenced me greatly, you know, and listening to it all day, every day, right? But typically, it's this is the reality. It's the white kids in the suburbs that have nothing to do with that lifestyle that are buying the albums and streaming the music and living vicariously, because to them it's just a movie. It's just a movie. It's a game. It's not real. They don't care. And guess what happens? Most of them grow out of it. Literally, like 95% of rap fans of the majority of rap fans that purchase and consume music, especially nowadays, if I wish there was some study done in a statistic, I guarantee you 90 to 99% of them, by the time they're in their 30s, they might listen to an occasional rap song here and there, but they probably moved on to country music, to rock, to even look at even white rappers. What white Eminem is really the, you know, as much as I'm not crazy about him, he's the only one that's really stuck with rap. All these other white rappers from the past, they all turned to rock music. They all eventually their real self come out. Their real white American selves come out. They become rock music rockers and this and you know. So anyway, I digress. The main point is it's 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 all pretty much fake, because even the guys who are rapping about it, they're not really living it. They're not really doing it. So it's all a fake, it's all a facade, because they know that's what sells.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
main thing is, I don't have an issue with any of it, honestly, because inherently in and of itself. Sure, do I think it's great for rappers to talk nonsense? No, of course not. But it wouldn't really matter if there was balance, if there was artists like me getting played in the mainstream, you know, artists like with my type of content getting played in the Oh yeah, see, somebody said MGK and Post Malone. Perfect example. Yeah, white guys rap, and then they turn to rock. You know, their true colors come out. So, um, but yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it in and of itself if there was more balance and if it wasn't the only thing that people are listening to and listening to it. Appreciate you, Mario. And the only thing people are listening to over and over and over again, it's really the repetition. And honestly, that's not even on the rappers. Yes, especially as grown men. I don't blame the young dudes. In fact, I've said it in my song Culture of Resistance. I'm happy for the young guys from the ghetto, from the hood, that the 18, 19, 20 years, they found a way out. Because if they didn't make these rap songs about killing and whatever it is, they wouldn't have got rich, they wouldn't have got out of the ghetto, and they'd still be worse off. This way, at least they have a chance, hopefully, to change and to make something better for themselves and find a way and lead others down the right path. So I don't have an issue with the young cast, because I was young too and I was out my mind. Right? I was on some bullshit. So I get it. but it's these older guys that these guys that are in their, literally, they're older than me. They're pushing 50, a lot of them. Some of them are in their 50s, and they're still rapping nonsense, still the same bullshit they were rapping about 30 years ago, even though they don't live that life at all. So, but nonetheless, I that's just my own personal kind of beef that I have with, as a grown man. Forget even rap, or as an MC, as somebody who keeps it thorough, has kept it thorough for 30 years now as an MC, and it been in the culture and has earned the right to speak on it and to have this opinion and be, even though so often online, of course, people don't know, and it's always white boy, like, oh, what do what a white guy, you're a white guy, what do you know? It's okay. But regardless, the real issue with music, again, is the constant repetition, the constant repetitive instilling, ingraining of these thoughts, these negative thoughts, with the
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
was getting a call. Yeah, you hear me
There you
now?
go. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, and it all basically equates to, magic spells that people are casting on themselves, just because there's no such thing as actual magic. It's all just natural laws of the universe. But the
Hmm.
the, the way we want to do a spell is through a chant, right? Chanting a spell, and it just is repetitive, just the repetition of the same thoughts, the same. It's just brainwashing, programming, whatever we want to call it. So this is the main issue that I have with music, and the powers that be. They certainly know the power of music, and this is why it has been weaponized to push their own agendas. So, but again, it's up to us as people, as the consumer, to not partake in it. To know what it is, and to refrain, and hopefully, and not even that, listen to, hey, once in a while, rarely do I, but mainly like in the gym, maybe I'll put on some old school 50 Cent, what up, cuz, what up, blood. I just get hyped up. Okay, cool. It's not gonna do anything. It's like your food, the food you eat. If you eat a 90, even 90% healthy diet, fruits, vegetables, you work out, water. Hey, if every once in a while you have a Big Mac, or have whatever it is, have some junk food,
Right.
it's not a big deal. It ain't gonna make you unhealthy. Same thing with the music we listen to, and what we consume for our mind, right? The problem is that it's totally out of balance. It's the opposite. People are consuming 90% garbage, and think that if they have 10% of goodness, that it's going to counter that. It's not. It at very least has to be a 50-50 balance, a
Hmm.
balance. But I would really recommend tipping the scale on the side of goodness and wellness and positivity and healthiness for everything we consume, mind, body, and spirit. So that's really it.
Agreed. It is all about being conscious consumers, not just what we eat, but what we allow into our mind. Especially because our subconscious mind is always taking in information, and it is programmed through repetition. And I know for myself, when I was going through like my depression and all of that stuff, I listened to a lot of like really sad songs about
Yeah.
feeling alone and
Yeah.
suicidal and stuff. And I look at that like I wasn't helping myself out in these
Yeah.
situations. I was only keeping myself in those low vibrational states.
Yeah.
And so when I started listening to like music like yours, like I won, your music always makes me hype. Like again, if no one has listened to Disl Automatic, you need to go check out his YouTube. I mean, his music is top notch. Like, if you need an alternative to mainstream hip hop, I highly
Yeah.
recommend Disl.
Thank
But
you
like,
so
I
much.
love your music. Your music makes me feel empowered. Your music has made me feel like wanting to take right action. So, I
Yeah.
want you to tell me, what is empowerment to you, and how do you feel that your music portrays empowerment?
I mean, I think you just said it. I think it my music empowers people. I think, well, On multiple levels, like you said, the hype, just the sound of it, I think oftentimes, the hypeness of it. A lot of people say my voice, I think I have a powerful voice. Oftentimes people perceive it maybe as aggressive or hype or whatever they want to call it, but I know that just the sound and the vibe of my music oftentimes just gets people up. Like I know my recent song, Slav Power, which is very personal to me as a Slavic person, but a lot of people, a lot of my fans aren't Slavic, but they still felt empowered by it. So I guess it's just the vibe of it that can be empowering for people. And then of course there's, I think, the truth, truth in this 3D realm is empowering, because truth ultimately leads us to ourselves, leads us back to ourselves. And just the resonant frequency of truth is it feels empowering, and knowledge is empowering. One of, for me at least, I'm assuming it's probably the same for most people, but like one of the best feelings and the most empowering feelings is when I learn something new. Like that
Yeah.
feeling of, oh, when something just resonates as truth or it's new. I didn't know that before. I didn't think of that before. Wow, that's profound. That to me is a feeling of empowerment. And some people may not recognize it. They feel that feeling, but they might not recognize it as empowering. But I do believe that's what it is inherently. When we learn something new, when new knowledge is found and truth is discovered, it empowers us. But ultimately, as the common theme, the underlying theme of everything we've spoken about, for me, everything externally, my music, and I hope that my music only serves to empower people through themselves, through just empowering them to find themselves, to seek truth. And sure, it's all, like you said, it's all rabbit holes and it's all a reason. Like if my music leads somebody down the path and down the rabbit hole of material truth and learning about the government and this and that, and that's what they need to dig deeper and dig deeper and dig deeper until they end up digging deep into the depths of their own mind and soul. That's what they needed, right? Because that's my greatest hope. And that's even where more of my efforts are being directed towards now. And I'm making a lot more music now, new music that I'm making that's, focusing more on this message as opposed to, like I said, I'll always have music about the material existence and the material reality and government and things of this nature. And but even that, I always try to put it in the context of the only reason I even talk about that is because it's all infringements upon our natural God-given rights. Because
Mhm.
ultimately that's what it is. I mean, any form of injustice or oppression that anybody can point out or um complain about or whatever it might be, it's only that way. It only matters because if and because it is a violation of our God-given natural right. We were all created by the creator, the source, and we all have that spark of divinity of God within us. And therefore we are all 100% equal. And this is the premise of equality. It's not some weird like social construct of equity and equality. Who cares? It's that we are all inherently equal in creation, and no other person, no other living being, in fact, no other human, animal, even plants, in fact, is more entitled to freedom, life, the pursuit of happiness, whatever it may be, in this existence than the next. And when
Right.
anybody tries to violate the right of any other living being, unless survival, because whether we like it or not, we have to survive, we have to eat, we have to do what it is, things have to die for other things to live, sure. But and sometimes it's a very blurred line between, okay, what is for survival and what's not. But usually it's not this blurred line. Usually it's most things in life are a very clear picture of this is not for survival. We
Right.
are not doing this because we need to survive. We are violating the rights of other living things, sentient beings and non sentient beings. But of course, there's a hierarchy. You know, we have to start first with humans and animals and the plants, insects, all of these things, right? But nonetheless, all living life was created by the creator and therefore has the same rights afforded to it as any other living thing. Because the second somebody tries to be holier than thou, right, more righteous, more qualified, a judge of men, not just a judge, jury executioner, a condemner of others, right?
Mhm.
What they're doing is literally playing God. They're playing God. There's no other way around it. And this is the greatest offense to God. It's the only offense actually that one could make to God. It's really in this material world, it's the only actual objective moral truth. I don't care what a person does. You want to smoke weed, go for it. You want to be you want to identify as whatever you want to identify, go for it. Do whatever you want. There's no right or wrong unless you are infringing upon another living
Mhm.
right, another living being's right to do the same, to do whatever they want to do. That's it. You can't say I'm doing whatever I want to do and that means hurting another person because then where's their right to do whatever they want to do?
Right.
And now you're playing God. And this is the only thing. This is really the only reason why even anything related to government or oppression or tyranny or injustice even matters. Because again, it goes back to internal God, source, natural law, and the rights that we all have. And this is why I'm vegan. You know, this is why, because I use that label, but I don't care about veganism. Who cares? It's not even about veganism. It's not even about the animals as vegans make, as I did too once upon a time. It's about natural rights. It's about God given rights that all living things have, that all sentient beings, especially because sentient beings are of a higher consciousness, can experience things that non sentient beings' life cannot experience. And therefore, because they can experience things on a deeper level, they can experience injustice and oppression and pain and suffering on a deeper level. And this should also be honored. God made it as such for a reason. If God did not want certain things to have an order to them, it wouldn't be made as such, right? So now again, that doesn't mean because a lot of times with vegan, right? Oh, but plants are living too. And yeah, of course. I don't go around just killing plants for no reason. I honor plants too with reverence. And you
Mhm.
know, that's why I'm vegan, because the animals that people eat that are factory farmed, mass produced, which most of the world eats, even though as soon as you say vegan, everybody's a hunter. Everybody just hunts wild prey all of a sudden and just lives in the wilderness. But of course, straw man arguments. So the majority of the world buys their food from grocery stores, factory farmed animal products. And those animals are fed millions of tons of GMO soy and corn. Far more crops are grown and eaten by those animals that then people eat. So if you care
Mhm.
about plants dying, be vegan. Stop eating animals. Way less plants will die. Because
Mhm.
also, the straw man argue, oh, well, what about the almonds and all these things? And wait a second, are vegans the only ones eating these things? Because last time I checked, when I wasn't a vegan, I still ate plenty of plants too. So on
Right.
top of all the plants that are fed to the animals that people then eat, they're still eating all of these other plants. And when you factor in that vegans are still the vast minority of people in the world, if you really care about plants, far more, the vast majority of plant life being destroyed is for non vegan people.
Yeah.
Just statistically, by default, has to be. So any way you cut it, but it's always just straw man arguments. Like there's no actual real argument against veganism for at least for somebody who believes in freedom, and the natural rights for all living things to live without us unnecessarily destroying, killing them, exploiting them, aside from survival. Now, it does become a gray area of survival because even as a vegan, right? One could say, well, you don't have to eat that many plants to survive, right? You could still eat less plants. So I get it. There is that gray area, but most of it is not a gray area. Most of it is very black and white. You're over here, people are over here eating you know, gluttonous ways, eating massive amounts of junk food and burgers and this and that, talking about, well, I gotta survive, dog. I gotta survive. It's about survival. Yeah, you're 300 pounds overweight, fam. You're not surviving. You're actually killing yourself. What are you talking about? So, that's it. I mean, for me, it's all about natural rights. It's all about, again, the divine, the internal God, these laws, this order. There are laws of the natural
Yes.
universe, and this is the truth. We can't, again, we know inherently that it is wrong. We know that it is morally, objectively morally wrong to just be breeding and slaughtering billions of animals yearly, just over and over, just because we like how it tastes. We know it's wrong. And because we know it's wrong, as much as people want to, that's why I don't even bother. I know people are, oh, this, that about veganism. It's because they feel guilty. They know it's wrong. And as long as we keep doing it, we're going to keep knowing it's wrong. People are going to keep internalizing the guilt and the shame. And it's just going to keep creating more oppression for us, more
Mm-hmm.
oppression for us. Exactly what we're doing to the animals is just going to create more of it for us. So free yourself, free your mind, free your spirit.
I agree. I actually was plant based for quite some time in my life. I'm no longer plant based as my daughter has many sensitivities and allergies to a lot of all like plant-based proteins, and so like our diet was severely lacking, and I
Mm.
intuitively felt that I needed to eat meat. And then I had a conversation with somebody who was a pretty well known like nutritionist, and she was helping me heal my daughter, and she was telling me that I should, add meat into my diet, which was very hard at first because I was very resistant to it. I wasn't vegan because I thought it was cool. I was plant-based because I understand what was going on in the meat industry and how the animals are treated and how it's mass produced. Like the things that we like the meat that we eat are not is not in good quality. It's actually very toxic, and I mean, like you said, they're fed these GMO plants, which then enters into our bodies. And if you guys don't know about GMOs, you guys need to educate yourself. But these are very destructive to our health, our fertility, and just our life expectancy. But I've always like to approach that topic of being plant-based and eating meat with just being consciously aware of what's going on with our food, not even just with the meat, but what's going on with the food that we consume. If we're not consuming organic, and who's to really say if things are really organic in the stores? But
Yeah.
our food is being poisoned, and we are being poisoned. And again, if you guys haven't watched the Nurture Your Physical Self-Care, I highly recommend you watch that one as too, because I talk about this as well. But we really do have to become conscious consumers of everything that we put into our body and what is going on behind these practices. Because if you knew what they were doing, what they were spraying onto your food and the effects it had on your food, you would really think twice about it. Well, if you value your life, you would really think twice about it. And so we are getting to the end of this interview, and I just want to know, in your opinion, what are some of the artists that are killing it in the conscious hip hop game right now?
Hmm. Um, you know, obviously every artist that is down with me will get big click. They're all great, amazing artists. Polar the White, Oh My Sister, Synthesis, Red Lohim, Smitty, my producer, V City, one of the best producers in the game. So obviously I'm gonna be biased towards my clique. But aside from that, still, I mean, honestly, like I'm cool with most of the cats that I like. Beast 1333, that's my brother. Just spoke to him the other night. Amazing, amazing. One of the best to ever do it. K Reno, legendary. I have a song with K Reno from like 12 years ago, Battle Cry. Um, and there's cats who have done it and solidified themselves, but they're not really doing it anymore. So if it's right now, currently, to me, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's guys, I guess, like some people like Tom McDonald, and they view him in that arena. I don't so much. He's got some good stuff for sure, and he's really found great success, and I'm happy for him, and it's admirable what he's been able to do independently. For me, it's a little bit still surface level. I don't really see him really diving deep the way that I like to, and the way that I like for artists to do if they want to be considered in this tier of real reality rap, real MCs, whatever we want to call it. His is maybe a little bit more pandering to the right. It's a little bit more right leaning, and it's found like he's really found that niche where most of his fans are conservative, and he kind of just runs with that. So, no judgment or anything. I get it. It's all good. But then, of course, there's Immortal Technique, legendary from the UK, Low Key, Akala, Logic. But again, these guys really aren't even making music anymore. you know, I, I can't, I don't know the last time any of them really even put a song out. They don't really do music anymore. So as far as current and cats who have been consistently, and especially for COVID. Blooded the Brave. Big up my brother Blooded the Brave too. He's definitely been repping hard and doing it consistently. Can't forget about him. Um, Joe Murray, my brother Joe Murray, definitely too. He hasn't been well now for quite some time, so he's been on a hiatus, but super, super dope and been consistent. But as far as like bigger followings, really, I mean, it's me, Beast 1333, and K Reno, if I'm being honest. Like, and this really kind of showed during the time of COVID, if I'm being honest. I had a lot of my fans come to me, and I gained a lot of new fans during that time, and people were coming to me all the time like, man, I'm so happy and so proud of you and so dope. They like, you're one of the few guys who are really speaking out against this shit out of all the rappers, the bigger conscious rappers. And a lot of people lost respect for some of these guys. A lot of people lost respect for some of their favorite, conscious rappers up until that point, because they didn't say a thing. Not only did they not make music about it, they didn't even make no social media posts. They didn't say nothing about what was going on with COVID. And to me, that's wild. Like, I'm not a person who judges people, because I know that I must be humble and understand that I can't possibly know all the possible reasons for why they may have remained silent. But it's just wild. It's just an observation that, as a conscious, like Immortal Technique, I had fans message me all the time. I even had one send me a DM. He had a DM interaction with Immortal Technique. He asked him, why didn't you put anything out? And Immortal Technique's like, well, it's I'm not putting music out, and I don't really do social media for activism. But that's not true, because I saw Immortal Technique during the time of COVID making all kinds of posts about, like, activism stuff, liberal leaning stuff. In fact, like talking about like one time Pocahontas and like how some would do with like this liberal agenda, whatever, right? Point
Mhm.
is, how do you, as someone like Immortal Technique, Revolutionary, Volume One, Two, Three, The Martyr, like such a hardcore force and voice in this community and leader, pioneer, one of the first to do it on a big level, how do you sit back and watch and you're in New York
Right.
and people are getting kicked out of restaurants and forcefully removed from places because they haven't got inoculated, haven't got injected with vaccines, and you just sitting back and you don't say anything, bro. You don't say anything. Again, no judgment. I'm sure he has a reason. I just, it's wild to me. I mean, I don't get it. So, um, and I still have the utmost respect for him, regardless, because he paved the way. So did many others. But currently, and through it all, and over, I'm talking now, you at least doing it for a decade or more, and on a level of reaching thousands of people, because there are a lot of smaller cats, right? There are a lot of
Mhm.
smaller cats in the clique, and you know, but if we're talking about on a level where actively reaching thousands of people for over a decade, it's only me, Beast 1333, and K Reno, if I'm being honest, that are really consistent in the message too. That's
Mhm.
it. That's it.
Awesome. I just wanted to give the viewers, some options if, they're looking for some new music to add to their playlist. So
Yeah.
do you have any final words you would like to leave the viewers with, or any mentions of any current projects you're working on that you would like to let them know?
Yeah, for sure. I'm working on all kinds of stuff. I'm always working the real work, the internal work, and creating many things in my reality. I have a project I'm working on called Fully Loaded, which I don't really know when it's going to drop, but it will in divine time. But in the meantime, you could just go and I have so much music that you know if a person's never heard of me, who cares about my new music? Go to my old stuff. It'll be brand new to you, right? So just go Google me up, you whatever search engine you use, Diesel Automatic, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, getbigontham.com is my website. Um yeah, I mean I got hundreds of songs, all kinds of music videos. You could it's like, if somebody I know I'm always like if I find something new, like not music so much, but like because I don't really listen to other music because I'm always working on my own and focused on that. But like for example, with like I'm really into audiobooks. I used to read physical books a lot, but now with these audiobooks, I just find it so much better. I mean, because a physical book, I have to be in a comfortable position. I have to sit down and audiobook, I'm working out, I'm listening.
Right.
I'm doing anything, I'm listening. And I actually think objectively audiobooks are better. Now, a physical book, reading it, it does stimulate the mind in a different way, right? The reading itself. But if we're just talking about acquiring information, um, because keep in mind, primarily the subconscious mind, right? So you could listen to an audiobook, even if you're not really paying attention, your subconscious mind is, it's picking it up.
Mhm.
So I encourage people, this is kind of what I want to leave people with too, is like I encourage people to all day long. If you like to read books. Oh, good looks, Mario the cameraman. Yeah, yeah, we are adult. We are a great duo, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, word. Bump that diesel, fam. That's what's up. Um, but yeah, no, I encourage people to all day long. This is what I do. This is what I've been doing for years, and I know that it has been implanted into my subconscious mind firmly, and that's why my whole world has changed. I just listen all day. I don't care. Even if I'm not paying attention, I have some type of even just affirmations playing in the background. I
Yes.
am affirmations, whatever, anything, whatever floats your boat. Yeah, if you like to read and sit, great. But you can't do that all day. We can't do that all day. And there's no way you can just sit a book up and it's going to go into your subconscious. So, audiobooks, podcasts, stuff like this, podcasts, whatever it is, anything that has good, positive content, consume it all day long. It will make a difference. Even while you sleep, it's true. Even modern science shows this. Play something while you sleep, let it play in the background. I am affirmations, whatever floats your boat, whatever kind of positive. Really, the best thing is what I do is I record my own voice for affirmations because they say your own voice is actually the best voice because it's the voice you hear, it's the voice you hear in your mind. So even if you're able to just record your own voice saying the affirmations that you want, what you want to be true in your reality, and let that ride. So anyway, the point of all of this was like I went on a tangent, but when I find something new, like when I found Neville Goddard for example the first time, then I'm like, oh, even though it's old, it's all super old, it's brand new to me. So I'm like, wow,
Mhm.
I have all this material to go back through, all these audiobooks, all these lectures. And I feel like that's how it is with my music. Somebody who finds me, even, though I've been doing this for 15 years nearly, my content is still relevant. The music is still dope. So even if you find me now, it's like hitting the jackpot. You'll go back and just be able to go through all my old music. And I'm sure, anyone who appreciates it will be very happy that they did. So
Mhm.
that's it. I just want to leave also, was saying to you, Bianca, that this was really, really dope. One of the best podcast experiences that I've had. You are super
Thank
cool,
you.
and we are like Mario the cameraman said. I think we had a great chemistry here and a lot of so much in common, so many similar perspectives and viewpoints on this reality and this life. So it was really dope, really really great. And yeah, I need that. I need a clip of that intro. Still, I can't get over that. That was like the best. I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna use that like as an intro to my album or something. Like that intro was banging, straight up
Thank
and
you.
down, like real talk. But yeah, nah, this was amazing, and keep doing what you're doing. It's dope. I really, you're on purpose, and this is what you're meant to do. I mean, don't doubt yourself for a second whether or not you're qualified or any of that. I mean, this is for sure I mean, like I said, I've done a lot of podcasts and some people who have been doing it for years, and quite frankly, they weren't as professional or as natural as you are with it. So I want to give you these last words of encouragement and tell you you did a great job and I'm very impressed and keep doing it. And to everybody else, same thing, we are all special. We are all chosen because we are here. Because we are in this existence. We are manifestations of God. We are chosen because we are in this reality. We don't need anything more to qualify us as deserving, as special, as get rid of the self-doubt, get rid of the limiting beliefs, get it out of your mind. And the only way to do that is by reprogramming through repetitioning your mind. It is life and death. It is literally a matter of saving your life. Save yourself. I'm being dead serious now. It's all fun and games, and I'm a happy person, but how many lives can be saved simply by changing your mind, changing your perspective? And it's easy to sit there and listen. Woe is me, pity party, victimhood. Listen to the nonsense, the negative crap, the rap, the TV, the gossip. It's easy. It's easy. Put in the real work and it pays off.
Yes,
But your
agreed.
life is on the line. Take it as such. Have fun with it. You don't have to be all stressed out about it, but it is your life. Doesn't mean you're going to drop dead, but the quality of your life, the world you create, the reality, your well being, it's all up to you. Stop being a victim of circumstance. Stop thinking this is all accidental and just, oh, nothing is it, nothing matters, nothing, no one's in control. No, stop it. I know it. I've been there. I've done that. Really, really go within. The power of God is within all of us. God, not in the religious sense, not this man in the sky that's throwing thunderbolts and judging us all this nonsense that religion has done to brainwash people, but the absolute ultimate creator. This world, we know it's not even real. Even modern science knows that nothing, matter does not even exist. Everything is vibration. Everything is just vibration moving at such a rate that we perceive it as solid matter.
Agreed.
Even modern science says this. So why do we think that this is some new age, airy fairy mumbo jumbo? It's not. Everything is simply vibrational frequency of God. And the only, guess what isn't? Guess what vibrates on such a level that it's not even perceived in the material world? Our thoughts, our consciousness, because it is God. It is the creative force that materializes everything. Harness it. Take back your power. You are the power. You are the power. You are the fractal of God. You are God experiencing God's self in this reality, and you have the power. You are a God unto yourself in this reality. You cannot create universes outside. You don't have that power. But in your world, in your universe, and it won't ever impose on somebody's free will because the universe, God has the power to shift and move things to where you can create your perfect exact reality and it will never impede or infringe upon anyone else's reality and their
Mm-hmm.
free will. That is how powerful God is. Only our limiting mind in our flawed thinking of rationale and reason and logic will say, no, how can that happen? I can't see it. I can't see it. So it can't happen. How arrogant must we be? So we can't see something, so it's not possible. We have to get rid of this flawed thinking.
Yes.
Just know, don't believe, don't have faith. Just know who you are, know who you want to be, put those together, be it, feel it, experience it, live in the end, and that's it. And watch how your life will change. Watch how everything in your life, and maybe it won't always be exactly how you envision it. Maybe every little thing you want, every detail won't manifest exactly as it will, as you want it to. But the general manifestation of goodness, of happiness, of fulfillment, it will manifest. It will, and your life will change. And when you do it, and I do it, and Bianca does it, and this person and that, and we all do it, guess what then happens? Then the collective consciousness changes the entire
Yes.
reality, and all the oppression and all the injustice and all the wars and it all will fade away. And that's the real key to revolution, to freedom, to justice, to liberty for all. And that I'll leave it at that.
Wow. Wow. Those are some powerful last words to leave everybody. Thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure having you here. I look forward to seeing the continual positive effects of your music. Again, thank you so much for coming on here, bringing great conversations. I mean, this was great. This was amazing. There are so many gems dropped in here. You talked about doing affirmations and whatnot, and I want to suggest to people Parrot app. I'm sure you can find on any phone app. I have an iPhone, so I have a Parrot app, and I record my own affirmations and I listen to my affirmations during the day. And I always have my affirmations playing at night because you have to reprogram your mind. Your mind is the key to changing anything in your life. So if there's anything to take away from this talk today, is that you are powerful. Your mind is the creative force in your experiences. And once you master your mind, you have mastered your experience, and you will officially affect the collective in a positive way. So, Thank you guys. If you guys have found value in this talk today, please make sure you like, comment, and share. And I will see you guys all next time. Please take care, everyone. I'll see you guys later.